Well, okay. First of all, I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for coming, taking time out of your busy Saturday to join us. We're the Coffee Coalition. Some of you know us, some of you are new. What we're doing is we're putting together nonpartisan forums to speak to the different candidates who are running for various offices in our county. Today we have Mr. Hammer, who's running for District 3. Board of County Commissioners, and he's going to address the group. Then he will take questions from the group, and we're going to be doing this on GoPro, so it will be posted to our site. Okay? With that, Mr. Hammer.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Hammer. Thank you for coming and attending this morning. I do have some notes so I can stay kind of on track. As you'll see, I'm involved with a lot of things, and I don't want to wander off and talk about one subject in particular more than the other, so I'm going to try and follow some notes, but I don't have a prepared speech. I am a Florida native. I was born in Tampa, Florida. My parents moved up here from Tampa in 1979, so I'm a 40-year-plus resident of Citrus County. I did attend the Lecanto school system from second grade, which is the grade I was in when we moved here, to graduation of high school. During my high school career, I did play high school soccer. I was involved in Boy Scouts, starting out in Cub Scouts, going all the way into Boy Scouts. I did not attain Eagle because of childhood youth activities. I got a car, I got a job, I started dating, and fell off the Boy Scout trail. When I graduated Lecanto High School, I did go to CFCC part-time, and I worked construction part-time. I don't want to say that I dropped out of college, but I did not enroll for my third semester because I stayed with the construction industry, and I wanted to focus my career on that. And that's what I did. So I've been in construction since 1990. I am a licensed state building contractor. I am a licensed home inspector. I started out as a framer, as a laborer, toting lumber, and I worked my way up through the field, became a foreman, and I went to work for a major development company in our area as their framing superintendent, assigning housing, framing projects, scheduling, lumber, trusted material inspections and such. I left there to go to a startup company and help develop that into a pretty large framing company where we had 6 to 7 crews, roughly 60 employees, our own frame. We scheduled it for rental and service and such. So that's what my general background is. My job or my business does put me in touch with a lot of people. I am a small company right now. My wife and I, my wife Victoria. We are our company. I stay with smaller jobs and smaller projects. I am a state licensed builder. I can build houses start to finish. I have no interest in that. I don't want a one-year relationship with anybody. So I stay with smaller projects and I do home inspections. What that does is I end up meeting a lot of people from our area, new and old. I find out why they're here, what they're doing here. It helps me to determine the project that I'm working on with them, to know their background and such. But it puts me in touch with a lot of people and find out the reasons why they come here. A lot of people are attracted here either by their parents, their family, their friends. They come to visit. Now they're living here. When I graduated high school, when I started back in primary school, we had roughly 40,000 people here. Now we're at 146,000, 147,000, depending on who you ask, what time of day it is. So we've grown over 100,000 people from when I first moved to now. And it shows all over. We'll get more into that later. With Lecanto, I spent most of my school years there. A friend of mine and a couple of us got together. We started Lecanto Alumni Association. I'm now president of Lecanto Alumni Association. We host a fishing tournament each year, which in conjunction or in partnership with Citrus County Education Foundation. And we issue a scholarship each year that's renewable through Lecanto graduate. But that's a way for me to get back to Lecanto High School. We don't have children. I still want to be involved and stay involved. And Lecanto school complex means a lot to me, so I'm involved with that. Also, at that time in high school, when there was 40, 50,000 people here. We had metal industries in Crystal River. How many people have lived here 10 years? 20? 30? Okay, are you guys familiar with metal industries and Proline boats?
Yep.
Those used to be two light industrial companies that were in our area. When I was in high school, you either worked at Metal Industries, which does metal fabricating, your fence, your doors, your frames and such, or Proline Boats. They had a manufacturing plant on Highway 19. KC Crumps, or the restaurant industry. Those were the major employers for high school kids back in that time. We don't have those jobs anymore. Metal Industries closed down, Proline Boats went south. Historical Resource Advisory Board. I'm the chairman of the Historical Resource Advisory Board that was created in 2006 through a resolution mandated by the state to find historical preservation within each county. So with the resolution, it was deemed that the Historical Resource Advisory Board, or HRAB, needed to present a historic preservation ordinance. So since 2006, HRAB's been trying to write a historical preservation ordinance and have had several chair members under several different administrators. I became involved after, I guess 2016, I became involved. I was not a chair. Our chairperson at the time basically got frustrated after her 6 years of service. She tapped out, said, I'm done with this, I'm gonna go pursue other things with my volunteer time. And I became the chairman of the HRAB. I sat down with her book and read the resolutions and read the duties of Historical Resource Advisory Board. And we were deemed to create a historic preservation ordinance to present to the state of Florida Historic Preservation Office, which is under the National Park Service, to create a CLG, Certified Local Government. It's not a government, I hate the name. What it is, that's a recognition by the National Park Service, but it can bring grant and funding into our area if we have an ordinance that says we want to protect historic features and facts. So HRAB is a county commission appointed board. I was appointed by the county commission to serve on this board. We advise the county commission. During the time, the 16 years, 15 years of trying to write this ordinance, there's been tussle back and forth, there's been inconsistencies, there's been false information. People thought that they would be sued over this ordinance. It was a forceful hand by the government. There was a lot of pushback from the ordinance, and over time, misinformation, nobody knew what was going on with it. So as chairman, I deemed I was going to get this ordinance passed. I took time to meet with each one of our commissioners. I met with our administrator. I tried to meet with our county attorney to find out what the issues were, where the concerns were. Some thought there were lawsuits, some thought it was overreaching, some thought it could never be done. So I took all this information, brought it back to our board, discussed it with our board, and we essentially threw out the draft that they've been working on all these years. I reached out to Megan McDonald, who is for the state of Florida Historic Preservation Office, which is a position of the National Park Service, and asked her what we needed to do. She gave me some ideas. We wrote a rough draft. I sent it to her as a courtesy review because our administrator and lawyer didn't want to play nice with me. So I went around their back. Got all the information needed for the ordinance from the state and national level, took it back to the board, presented it to our administrator and our board, said this is what we need to do. He was put in a position we had to accept it. Took it back before the Board of County Commission, presented it again, it got passed, and it's now at the state level. So hopefully within the next several months, we will be deemed as certified local government, which will bring us federal grant money, which provides maintenance, like the courthouse. It can offset their maintenance costs, which will save the county money. That's a budgeted item, that'll save the county money. The trees in Floral City. 3 years ago, one of the county commission went before the county commission, presented that he wanted to start a program and fund a program for an arborist for those trees, which is county money. A CLG will provide funding for that program. So this will help bring money into the county. So I was able to get that passed. By doing that, the Historical Resources, or the Historical Society presented me with the award this year for historical preservation, which I thought was pretty cool. But the thing is, I had a chance to meet with several different growth management directors, since we've had 4 in 2 years. I worked with our administrator, I worked with our land development, I worked on the state level to help get this drafted, presented, and passed. My company, my business is in construction, and for that I joined the Citrus County Building Alliance, not to promote myself, but because the Citrus County Building Alliance has, in my opinion, a government affairs board which is more interactive with our county than most other agencies or organizations are. The government affairs board meets every 2 weeks. We meet with our commissioners, the building department, property appraiser, local insurance companies, anything that has to do within our building environment, our building industry. We meet with these people and we talk with them on a regular basis. I don't know if anybody remembers the fiasco that happened in Emirates Highlands over the mobile home. There was a knee-jerk reaction by one of our commissioners that he wanted to do this broad spectrum, in my opinion, countywide deed restriction that they listed as an aesthetic ordinance. This aesthetic ordinance actually is illegal on many levels because it supersedes state guidelines and state building requirements. You're not allowed to do that. On a county level, you cannot supersede state building requirements unless you submit to the building commission a plan of action and adopt it as a building code for your local counties. What they essentially wanted to do is create a deed restriction for our county within certain pockets. They wanted all raised residences to be on, have a solid foundation underneath, which would do away with stilt homes in Homosassa. No porches or open under roof areas, which would do away with any historic style home that's now being built in Floral City. All steps would have to be concrete. Again, Homosassa is stilted homes, you have concrete steps. So it just superseded on many levels. The picture of your roof was a knee-jerk reaction. Not much thought, forethought was put into it, and we need to do something, so here, take this. The Government Affairs Board stood up against that. We met with all levels of our county government, and they're still trying to find a way to make this work. It will not work. We have brought it back to where I think they're gonna, instead of 8 mandated issues, they're gonna bring it down to just a foundation issue, where your foundation has to be closed in, but again, it's gonna be within certain pockets. I don't agree with it because it discriminates and it says this pocket of area, this area, to this area. I'm against it. I always will be, but it's not 8 issues anymore. It's just down to 1 issue. FEMA mandated new flood level requirements. The county's trying to do some superseding again on that. The Government Affairs Board's working against that. I was chairman of that. My duty as chairman is now over because I am now president. They don't overlap. So I'm president of the Citrus County Building Alliance. I was this year's Builder of the Year. My first year there, I was Rookie of the Year for the services and the volunteer time that I did there. I have spoken before the PDC in favor of the Holder Industrial Park. I also spoke in front of the Board of County Commission in favor of the Holder Industrial Park and against the Aesthetics Code and FEMA regulations. I've represented the Building Alliance twice in Tallahassee days, Tallahassee legislative days, so I should say once last year, and I'm going again this year. With the Building Association, we've also recognized the need for labor within our area, qualified labor within our area, and trying to reintroduce labor, trades, and skills into our area. And with that, the Citrus Construction Academy was founded. When it was initially founded, we worked in conjunction with BOCC Technical College. I am president of Citrus County Construction Academy. The Construction Academy and WTC kind of had different visions as to what we wanted. The Construction Academy wants to find ways to reintroduce trade and technical training into our middle school and high school levels. With BOCC Technical College wants to go to college. They're worried about post-secondary. We became a 501c3 nonprofit. WTC and school board regulations did not allow them to be involved with us at this point because conflicted because we give money back to the school system. I'm fine with it. WTC went their way, and we're now doing our thing. What I learned through all of this experience with the Citrus Construction Academy, trying to meet with school board members and ask the simple question, why can we not have a shop style class or trade industrial training classes like we had when I was in school? Why don't we have them anymore? And I heard various stories and reasons. I have some school board members who won't even talk to me anymore because they won't answer me, and I ask them the same question. But I wanted a simple answer. Why can we not have this? And they just tell me we don't have it. State legislation does not allow it. So after hearing this so many times, I chased down Senator Simpson until he could not ignore me anymore and gave me a meeting. I went to Trilby and asked him, and I gave him the information. Our local school board says state legislation does not allow this style class in our school system anymore, the shop and trades. And he said, no, they're wrong. On a state level, legislation was passed so that all local school boards have the power and ability to create their own curriculum as they deem fit. They just have to reach state guidelines for graduation. There's nothing anywhere that says shop classes and trade classes are not allowed in school systems anymore. But that's what I've always been told. I've also been told that we don't have these classes anymore because they don't fit within our curriculum. All these school board members I chased for 3 years, and some that don't talk to me anymore, none of them bothered to tell me that Inverness Middle School has a shop class.
If you want to call it that, my daughter is a student in Inverness Middle, and she has taken shop class 2 years in a row. It is not a dedicated class.
It's not a dedicated
It's part
class.
of another class.
I met with Ingrid Stanley. I met with her several times. It's not a dedicated shop class. They just told me that those style classes are not available, not allowed. Meaning that that class could never exist.
Right.
So I'm not saying that's not a traditional shop class. That is an industrial and trade class where it's taught on many different levels. What she does is, I'm going off script, but what she does is she integrates computers, drafting, layout, industrial skills,
Right.
arithmetic. They design their own houses on a computer. They lay it out on a piece of paper. Then they have their blueprint. Now they do a scale size house out of cardboard. To scale, including windows, beds, tables, roofs. They also do, they build bridges, mathematics, physics. And they'll build the bridges out of toothpicks or popsicle sticks and do a pressure test to see who builds the strongest bridge and who can hold the most weight. And 82 pounds is the record. So it's a hands-on approach. But they've also built model airplanes and race cars, like Pinewood Derbies. So when they figure out all this stuff and they lay it out and they do the computer system and they have the Pinewood Derby style car, they go into a woodworking shop. There is a classroom on the other wall with band saws, table saws, routers, sanders, and they get a hands-on approach to it. And so that's an overall, it's not a traditional wood shop from when I went to school, but it is incorporated. So my story is they exist. Our school board members, to quiet me up, all they had to do was say, Inverness Middle School has a shop you're asking, has a class you're asking about, but they didn't even know it existed. So I went to the state level, found out there is no regulation saying it cannot happen, and then I had a student's mother approach me because she heard about me questioning all this stuff. Said, "You're Mark Amos?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." This shop does exist in this state of the teacher. Citrus Construction Academy actually donates equipment to her to fix some of her machines. Where am I? So I'm also a member of TUFAR. I'm the vice president. It's a water conservation preservation group over in East Citrus County. It's been around since 1993 or 94. They work with Swift Mud and a couple other agencies. They used to argue with each other, but now they get along and they work together for a common cause, and that's for our rivers and lakes. I'm a member of the Agriculture, Citrus County Agricultural Alliance. Growing up, this was an agricultural area. A lot of my friends are still in agriculture. I raised rabbits with my parents and my sister and brother on a large extent where we sold it to processors. So we had a rabbit farm, and that's just part of who I am. Other than that, that's who I am, where I am, how I came about, what I'm involved in. I am involved with our community. I try and give back to our community. The community gave me a whole lot. What I would like to do, or what I intend to do as a county commissioner, is to showcase our county. We need a county that's a little bit more forward thinking, that's going to prepare for growth. In 40 years, we went from a community of 40,000 people to now 146,000 people. We will be losing our rural county designation shortly. I believe it's 160,000, 165,000. Once you exceed that population, it takes you out of the rural county status. Being a rural county status, we get more federal and state money because of our population, which helps go to our roads. But we're gonna lose that soon, which is with growth. Growth is gonna happen, the toll road's coming, we cannot stop the growth. Trying to stop it is ignoring something that's there. It's gonna continue, but we need to not try and fight it. We need to prepare for it, be ready for it when it does come. With the population growth that's gonna come, our emergency services, our sheriff's department, our fire department, we need to make sure that those are ready as well. I feel that in the past, it's just been neglected to see what's coming in front of us as county commission. Something that brought my attention to local happenings and what got me involved in politics was in 2002, 2003. At the time, Croft Road was supposed to be 4-lane. Purchases started being made on the west side of the road, buying private properties for 4-laning of Croft. There was a seated county commissioner who sold some of his privately held property to the county as a DRA for the road, a drainage area for the road. What the county failed to do was buy the lot on the corner that was for sale where the bank now is. By not buying that lot, they could not put in their turn lanes. By not having room for their turn lanes, they could not build Croft as a 4-lane road. So the county bought the commissioner's property, but didn't buy the corner lot to secure that road. And I'm trying to figure out how this happened. And that's what got me involved with the county politics. And how do these things happen? How does this kind of stuff occur? How can you buy this guy's property, but not buy something that's gonna be needed for the road to go through? What makes that even more interesting or important, or however you want to look at it, intriguing, that's how Ottawa came about. I don't know if anybody remembers the Ottawa situation where people were all upset I was cutting through a neighborhood. Again, state mandate. Because of our population growth and our traffic counts, we had to have another access north and south to connect 44 to 46. When they couldn't do Croft, they had to find an additional thoroughfare. And that's how Ottawa came about. Consequences or lack of consequences, it has an effect on the future. If that corner lot was bought, we would have had something that would have handled all that traffic, and we would have had all the people in that community upset over Ottawa. And Ottawa is really, it's an awkward situation. And it gets even more politically deep from there, which I'll stay away from. But we do need to accept the responsibility for our roads. We need to find the funding for our roads. In 2015, our county commission mandated that a 40-year plan, we will have over $8 million in our budget fund for road maintenance. You continue reading, it says additional funding will be required. Right now, we only have $3 million funding our road maintenance program, but our county commission mandated we're gonna have 8. There's no way to get there. We have a population coming that we can't control. We need to find ways to fund our roads. Again, trying to promote as a business-friendly community, trying to entice light manufacturing, light industrial companies to come back into our area. They'll benefit our community on many levels. They'll bring employment. They'll bring high tax value. Right now, we are one of the only counties in the state that has the residential taxes paying more than commercial taxes. We're pushing businesses out. I'm not saying businesses are great. I'm not trying to say we need to bring every business here. We need to be smart how we bring our businesses here. We have the Holder Industrial Park. We have other industrial areas. We have small and light industrial areas that are available. Once the toll road goes through and goes over Cardinal Lane, and we have to interchange Cardinal Lane, all of that land is going to be redesignated again. gonna be commercial, and it's gonna be light industrial, depending on how our county commission wants to go with it.
So it's a pretty important
But the
era in Citrus County
The,
for
the
the county
forward, the
commissioner.
forward thinking is what needs to be done.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be done, it's what needs to be done in order to protect our county and to be ready for what's coming. We're gonna have the population, we will not stop the population. New York State, California, and a couple other larger states are losing their population. We are one of the fastest growing states in the nation again, and we will be, because of all the other states are pushing people out between their regulations, their taxes, and people wanting a nicer climate. Our county is set up to attract tourism, but by attracting tourism, we're a tourism-based county, we're a hospitality-based county. We need to get back to a business-based county.
Why did they leave? Why did industry leave?
Proline left because the downsizing. Our plant here, our Proline plant here, built Proline boats, but they also welded for Donzi and another company. Proline downsized, Donzi downsized, they consolidated all their plants and moved them down south. Metal Industries, I believe, went over to Wildwood, which is just another county.
What would attract them? What would attract business to come back here?
Our state does provide incentive programs.
What
Bruce-
can the county,
Bruce-
what can we do at a county level?
Bruce Register is our economic development, and he's starting to promote some of these incentives that have always been there. But as a county, what can we do? I'm gonna tell you my personal experiences, and we need to stop my personal experiences. There is a friend of mine that is in real estate. He works with commercial properties. He pushes and he sells, and he's a very aggressive person. Well, there's also companies and corporations that work as an intermediate, as a consulting company that will try and connect businesses with land. So my friend knows about one of these companies in Texas, and he reached out to this company in Texas to say, hey, you know, I heard through the streets that you have a business that's looking for a lay-down yard and a short-term construction development site that they can have a staging area. I have a perfect piece of land in North Citrus County for a staging area. Do a 3-year lease on it, your company can come in, do what they need to do. When they're done with the staging area, they clean it up and they go back. The Texas-based company told my friend, you're in Citrus County. Friend, yes we are. Texas company, well, we're gonna go to Levy County because we've heard about how it is to work with Citrus County.
You've heard what? Repeat that. please. We've
Citrus
heard-
County is very difficult to work with, and we have a reputation
Okay.
as being a very difficult county to work with.
Okay.
More of my personal experiences, my personal opinions. Through my experiences with the Historical Resource Advisory Board as their chairman, there is a person within county staff. I'm trying to be as vague as possible, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not here to put anybody under fire, I'm just here to tell a story. All of the emails that come to me as chairman also go to the staff person. But there's some things that go to the staff person that get carbon copied to me. So the interaction after I I left a piece out earlier. When we're discussing the Historical Resource Advisory Board's efforts to do the Historic Preservation Ordinance, there was a county staff person that stood in front of us and said, you know, this is a great idea. I worked on one similar up in North Carolina that was wonderful, and this is nothing like it, and I don't support it. That's why I went around this person back to the state level and brought it back in front of this person, then he had to accept it. There's another person as well that keeps giving information to us that's stonewalling us, and I called him out one day on it. What is all of this? Don't you read your own resolutions? Here's all your answers in this resolution, and it's written here and here and here. And it became a battle of wits for some reason, I feel on their end. So when the ordinance was passed, Ms. McDonald sent an email to so-and-so and said, the ordinance passed a month ago. I thought you guys were gonna send us the application. Staff person, no response. That was July. November, Ms. McDonald from the Park Service, again, county staff, where is your application? I called Ms. McDonald, so there was not a paper trail, and I'm like, what is going on? Have you ever heard from county staff? No.
What would the motive be? Why,
What's the
why
motive?
would you be difficult?
Because this person didn't think it was a good idea to begin with. The
But
person
it
that
can't be
stood in
just
front of our.
one person, it's an
I don't know if it's the
overall
person that runs the
attitude.
county. I'm
It's called the
sorry.
good old boy club. Yeah.
But I mean, why would you shoot yourself in the foot?
It's called the Good Old Boy Club. Citrus County has I've been in Hernando and Citrus for close to 30 years. And Citrus County and Hernando County have a reputation being a good old boys club. And if you're not part of the club, you don't get anything moved through the
Here's-
county commissioners.
There's
To
something-
the detriment of your county,
To the
but
de-
why?
they will cut their
Here's
nose off
here's
to
something to
fight
think
this.
about or consider along the same lines of this, along the same lines as county staff stonewalling an effort.
Mhm.
Have you noticed that the county commission votes 5-0, 4-1 most of the time?
Oh, yes,
They're hand-fed their information, in my opinion.
yeah.
And that's the difference. I understand the Planning and Development Commission. I understand state regulations, government policies, government procedures, because that's all I've not done, but I work 2 to 3 days a week. That's what my company set up for, 2 to 3 days a week. Because I spend 2 to 3 days a week doing these other activities that I'm involved in that I've been telling you about.
So why,
But I
what
have
are you
my own
gonna do
experience.
different than they do?
I don't need county staff to hand me pieces of paper before the commission meeting saying this is how you're gonna vote, or this is our suggestion. If you look at the backup material for the agendas, our county commission agendas, look at the backup material. Most of those resolutions that they're voting on are already, there's already a piece of paper in there that passes that ordinance, and all the chairman has to do is sign it.
Who generates that?
County staff.
It's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation, but it's already written for them to sign off on. If there's 2 ways to vote, there's only one piece of paper most of
We
the time.
fixed our coffee problem, everyone.
There's no workshop that
It-
does something with the public, in front of the public before resolution is,
Let's talk about something interesting that I'm sure people want to talk about anyway. The library vote.
yes.
Okay, right there. And this is how it was handled improperly. The library system should have done a presentation. They should have stood before the county commission with facts and figures and documentation and said, we are here to request a subscription to the New York Times, and here's our material. And the library board should have went up there and had a hearing. That's the first place it went wrong. Everything should be handled that way.
But they've
Not-
never had trouble before when they
They-
wanted to expand ebooks or something.
The diff-
And
I would have voted no. Just so that's out there for anybody asking. I would have said, no, I am not in favor of the subscription. My reason being is, one, there was not a presentation by the library board. I've done presentations myself to the BOCC. Anything that goes before them should have a presentation, not just a piece of paper that goes up there. I would have voted no under the guise of any other subscription that wanted to have their online subscription purchase. All they would have to do is write an invoice or bid proposal and say, you bought the New York Times subscription, I want you to buy mine. It would have set a precedent. That's why I would have voted no
Doesn't mean
to
you
it.
have to go with the precedent.
No.
And they don't have the reputation that the New York Times has, not only nationally,
No.
but internationally.
there was a whole
I'm not discussing
process.
I'm not discussing the reputation of the New York Times. I'm discussing the purchase of the subscription, of any subscription whatsoever.
But it
There
wouldn't have
was-
been
there
an
was no
issue if it
presentation.
wasn't the New York Times.
I can't say, they made it an issue.
Yeah.
I'm
They
referring
made
to
it an
myself.
issue.
That's
Let's
the
put this another
commissioners-
way. You were talking about the building codes, the foundation issues, that the Board of County Commissioners was putting something forth that was incompatible with the actual situation. And you were able to see that as a professional in your particular field. So basically, you were making a case that the Board of County Commissioners did not have the knowledge and the background and the training that you have in your particular field. Likewise, the county commissioners do not have the background that Eric Head has as the head librarian.
You're
He
correct.
comes to this with the training, he comes to it with his job experience.
Correct.
So I'm making a parallel case. You're saying the Board of County Commissioners should trust your judgment as someone in construction, but you're also now making the case that they were correct to not trust Eric Head's
No,
judgment
no,
as
no,
head
wait a
librarian.
minute, wait a minute. I agree, and I'm not disputing or disagreeing with you. But this is, what I said was, I feel that the library should have went before the Board of Commissioners and gave a presentation. I did say that, and that's where the library system failed. I feel the library system should have stepped up in front of the podium and gave a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners.
He makes all kinds of decisions running his library system.
That's correct.
You made the statement that if we allowed the New York Times as a subscription, anybody could get in and demand that we accept the subscription. Well, we get the New York Times paper version.
Correct.
We don't accept everybody else who wants us to subscribe to their newspaper,
Good point.
right? Is that true? We don't get the Washington Post or the,
I don't, I'll be honest,
You know-
I don't know what subscriptions they get, but go, I want to,
But-
let me address her.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, because okay, we met with county commission, as the building alliance and the government affairs met with the county commission, the board of commissioners, the building department, our administrator, our land development, and the Realtors Association, and the Citrus County Chamber of Commerce. We had several ongoing meetings with all of these groups, individually, separately, and collectively, to discuss the aesthetics ordinance. Then, as a group, we also went before the PDC, Planning and Development Commission, and spoke about the aesthetics ordinance. And we went again, the day that they voted on, we went before the Board of County Commission and spoke about the aesthetic ordinance. And that was all in reference to the aesthetic ordinance.
Well, let me
That-
bring
that-
this up then.
but-
Prior to the vote,
But that was our discussion, our presentation to the county commission. The county commission heard our presentation on many levels. What I was saying with the library system should have given a presentation to the Board of County Commission. The reason I say that is because they were asking the Board of County Commission through policy and procedure for additional funding that exceeded what they're allowed to do.
now the Library Advisory Board had a meeting before
Yes.
that final vote,
Yeah.
where the
was already
citizens came and
paid for.
spoke up. Now, I asked, was the write-up from this presentation going to appear in the packet that is presented at the Board of County Commissioners meeting for the board to look over? And I was told, yes, it did not appear in the packet.
That's staff.
So the ball was dropped by the BOCC.
That is staff. That is what staff. Staff is responsible to make sure it goes in the packet. But just to clarify, I'm not saying we're smart, the building alliance is smarter than this group, or this or that. I'm saying we had many discussions about the aesthetic ordinance on many levels with county commission. And we spoke that day at the county commission. What I'm saying is, I thought that the library board, a representative of the library system, that day that it went for a vote, should have spoke before the county commission.
So are you saying then that if the library board went up and made a presentation to the BOCC, they wouldn't have said, no, we don't want that in our county?
I think it would have been
No.
I think it would have
I
been
think that question's been answered, that's a rhetorical question.
They probably still would have voted no, but I'm saying policy and procedure.
And
that
if you
is a
look a
standard
little bit
policy
further
and
into
procedure.
that, the New York Times was picked because it was easy to digitize.
Exactly.
And the Wall Street Journal was the next one in line after that, which is as much to the right as the
It has
Times
nothing
is
to
to
do
the
with
left.
it.
So it was a political bullshit, pardon my French.
It was, they brought their own political,
And it's
Point of view,
about
didn't
time
they?
that sort of stuff stopped.
they
And
brought
that's what the
their,
Coffee Coalition is about.
they brought their political views into it. But me, as somebody who's not familiar with the library system, as a county commissioner, I would have liked to have had a presentation and had some information about it. That's what
It's
I
not
would have
about
liked.
the
Went to a
newspaper.
presentation by the library, it was all very well presented as
Yeah.
to what they were planning on doing, so the information was available.
Okay, well, then I stand corrected. I'm just stating from my point of view as a county commissioner, this is something I don't know about, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I do know about the library board.
I'm just
I don't.
saying
I
that.
don't know about the library board.
Purely partisan, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That same day, Trump announced, at the White House that, New York Times was not welcome in the White House,
In any federal buildings.
Yeah.
I have to change the subject, okay?
Sure.
You're in the building industry.
Yes, ma'am?
Why in the hell, in this county, do we need more people? And if we need more people, where are you gonna get your damn water from? And then where are you gonna put the sewage? It's overrun. We have houses on top of houses, buildings on top of buildings that stand vacant. Why build another damn one? We don't need it. Take care of what we got
Do we
now.
have the infrastructure?
Exactly.
Do we have the infrastructure to bring more people in?
No.
How can we dictate that our county is full? That's the first thing. How can we say that our county is full? At what point do we say our county
By
is full?
laws.
Because, no, that can't happen. Because if we wanted to say our county's full, I would like to date it all the way back to 1981. Right after we moved here, that's when I'd like to say our county's full. We cannot say our county's full. We cannot stop people from moving here. We have to accept the fact that our county is very attractive to people. But we have to also be ready
Then
for
let's
it.
stick with the idea of tourism. Why business? Business generates more people.
Generates
Tourist
jobs.
industry has people who come visit and leave. And they leave their monies behind.
I think the point is
What
that this.
happens when our market crashes or when we go into a recession?
We don't have a market crash coming anytime soon.
One will
I
come.
wish I knew that.
One will come.
Oh,
I'm thinking long-term, at some point, long-term, there is gonna be a market crash, and I don't believe we need to base our county as a tourism-driven county. We don't need to put all of our eggs in the basket of tourism. That's ridiculous.
Let's look at this from the point of view of the laws of physics, because infrastructure is a very important, do we have the substrate? So, as an example, we have room for plenty more people to come to your presentation here today. Unfortunately, we're up against the Manatee Festival. But this building has a limit of 75 people. We cannot take more than 75 people in this building because it does not have the infrastructure, it does not have the substrate for that. Likewise, Citrus County, as a bordered geographic entity, can sustain only so much. So are there guidelines that answer to that sustainability requirement? And if so, what happens if people come in that will unbalance that sustainability and present the need for some kind of regulation somehow?
There is no real way to regulate growth. Yes.
The event by
We had a whole-
requiring.
Just go ahead, everybody.
We had a whole growth management department that has been dismantled over the
There's
years.
been 4 directors in the past 2 years.
I'm talking about statewide.
I'm talking about our local growth management
I'm
departments,
talking
had
about
4 different directors
statewide.
in 2
We
years.
had some healthy growth management proposals or laws on the books that our past governor just wiped them all out.
Yep.
And we're no longer looking at sustainability. I think the problem that's frustrating people in Citrus County is that so many things that the BOCC does are geared toward more growth. For
We don't
example,
want it.
the toll road. The toll road, they're saying, oh, it's gonna bring people, it's gonna bring prosperity, it's gonna bring, The bottom line is, growth has never paid for itself.
Nope.
You do much better with agriculture or something that leaves vacant land. But as long as you continue this push, and I don't mean you personally, as long as we continue this push for more growth, we are going, digging
We're gonna
ourselves
lose the
deeper and deeper and deeper into the
I'm not
financial
promoting,
hole.
to be clear, I'm not promoting growth. I'm recognizing the fact that it's coming. It's here and it's coming and we can't stop
But what
it.
she-
There
Yes,
is no way.
we
And
can.
what she is
How can we
saying,
stop growth?
Listen to what the lady's saying.
by having good growth management laws, okay?
Hmm?
Which
You're not
are in
gonna
place.
stop at 100%, but we do have a water issue. we certainly got a roads issue. And it used to be overcrowding in schools, road congestion, all these things were taken into account before growth projects were approved.
Thank you.
And if they did not meet that bar, they were not approved. That's all gone away now. And it's like, build whatever you want, wherever you want it, whenever you want it.
So
And
basically,
this
it's
is not
deregulation.
sustainable.
Okay,
Nope.
there's,
It is not.
there are roughly 60,000 vacant buildable lots left in Citrus County.
That's fine.
But
Build
that's,
on
but that's it.
them.
So there is your limitation of houses available. There's an additional 60,000 houses.
How
But-
many vacant buildings and houses are currently standing now? Why can't we use those instead of building new?
Strip malls.
Didn't we used to have a very high
Sometimes
impact fee?
We did.
Citrus County used to have an extremely high
Yeah,
impact
that's
fee.
what-
It was like news that we had such a high impact fee, and I understand that that is no longer the case. It was something along the lines of $8,000, correct?
It's still about 6,200
It's still pretty high.
per house, yes.
Okay, that is one way, in my opinion, that we could definitely
Yeah.
It's not-
deter.
It's not gonna deter. The impact fees will not deter.
It'll just dictate what
It'll
type
deter-
of people
It'll
you can have.
deter commercial growth, it will not deter residential growth. And the reason I say that is our housing prices are so much cheaper in our area,
But it doesn't,
that
it's a drop in the
it's not
bucket.
gonna affect anything.
So there are so many vacant buildings right now.
Now,
Breaking new
commercial is a
ground
different
is
aspect.
just
The reason
harder.
there's so many, not so many, but part of the reason that there's an abundance of commercial vacant property right now is a lot of if you look at them, a lot of those buildings are older. With those older buildings, if you refurbish it to bring it to a new shiny building, which most places have to do now, you have to meet ADA guidelines, you have to meet certain state and federal guidelines, it's cheaper to build new. And
That is
that's-
true,
that's
but
where
using
it's
the
short
same
term.
lot that's already been developed and clearing it and starting new is a lot better than breaking new ground, cutting down all of those trees, needing to put in new sewer and all of that stuff. Is that wrong?
No, you're correct.
Okay. So that, using an existing lot that has been abandoned,
That has the infrastructure
exactly,
there already.
the infrastructure is already there, that type of growth is
I've been
what I
working-
think that Gloria is talking about versus clearing more land for
I've been
get
working on the
bigger
old
growth.
Winn-Dixie in Meadowcrest for about 2 years doing the interior remodel on that. That's exactly what you're talking about. That's the kind
That's
of
wonderful.
redevelopment that's going on. Not everything is getting bulldozed down, okay? So you have the,
Four corners, Lecanto and
Yep.
444.
that was the prior commissioner. Don't get me started, you can't get me started on that. That was my home. I lived 2 miles from that corner. All right, Country Corner used to be there, all those trees used to be there.
That's
terrible.
I'm upset about the fact that our county commission voted to spend $4 million worth of improvement, tax money, for improvement to private property that's now gonna be sold with an improved value. The people that own that property are the same people that were lawyers that brokered the deal for that road.
Corruption.
Sounds familiar.
Can we get back to the fact that you're running for the commission? And what I'm hearing from you is the inmates are running the asylum.
The staff is powerful, yes.
Yeah, okay, so you get they get a designation of some sort of package regarding it as something that the commission's gonna address at the meeting. And then they follow through with what staff, is staff running the board, and what would you do about that? You're
Staff
one
makes
guy.
recommendation.
Well, okay, so staff makes a
The last-
recommendation and they follow through. Is
No.
that who we voted for?
No, they quite frequently ignore it.
The last
You mean
back,
the commission?
Staff is your professionals, and they make recommendations based on professionalism, and then the board many times will ignore it.
What-
The
Okay,
last-
can you address that? What would you do about
the
it?
last backup package was over 520 pages. Sometimes those backup packets are not completely available in a timely fashion as the way they're supposed to be.
We
What
got
do you
county
do about
commissioners
that?
who can't read.
What do I do about
Just
it?
gonna say that.
Exactly.
I
They
didn't
can't
say
read.
it.
I
You're
don't,
ignorant.
I don't need a complete backup package to make my own decision. What do I do about it? I research the information myself.
But I mean, when you're on the board, you're one guy.
As part of a discussion. I bring the fact up in discussion. Maybe you don't.
That's why Brian Coleman is not seeking re-election.
Yeah, it's
He's the only intelligent one they've got there.
That's right.
Does that mean I'm not intelligent for
I'm
deciding
not
to
saying
run?
you,
You're not
I'm
on
saying
there.
what is there
Well, we're
now.
gonna talk about me. I wanna talk about me.
Well, how you gonna fill his shoes?
Or you
I'm
gonna
not
just,
there
how
to
can
fill
you
his
make a
shoes.
change with
I got
that?
my own shoes.
This is
I'm
all,
representing myself. I'm running as Mark Cameron. I'm not running as a replacement for Brian
So,
Coleman.
just
He's a
let
great
me
guy
see if
though.
I can.
I like him.
Let me see if I can clarify what's being said here. Okay? Currently, there's a system in place where the staff who are supposedly experts in these different areas of
Oh,
development.
I'm not saying there's a
give-
system, I'm saying
give-
in my opinion.
Okay,
In my
okay.
opinion.
Give their opinion, and that opinion is either adopted or not adopted by the board. And what you're saying is that you would not only look at what their options that they're presenting are, but would also do your own research as well. You wouldn't rely on that research.
I would do my own research as well, which is much of what Brian Coleman does. He does his own research.
Right. It's
but
like,
I've been
if you were
involved
going to a brain surgeon and the brain surgeon said you got a tumor and you have to have it removed, well, get it removed, right?
Yes,
Because he knows what he's
but
doing.
I've also sat in these discussions, I've been parts of these discussions. This is not a new environment to me.
Right.
I have the experience that I believe other candidates don't have.
Okay.
I don't know of any other candidate for this position that has held any of my positions with any other association,
Okay.
in or outside of my same
So
field.
you're bringing a certain set
I-
of professional ethics to this.
I think that some of the candidates just now got involved in the community. I think some of the candidates just now moved to our community.
Right.
I'm saying that I am the candidate with the most experience and involvement with our community.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anybody else have questions for Mr. Hammond?
Well,
I do.
Yes, sir.
This gentleman had his.
Yeah, this gentleman was here first.
With all due respect, you just said that you do your own research relative to an issue that came forward, but that seemed to be just the opposite of your position on the library situation.
Yeah.
Because they didn't make a presentation, you would vote no.
I'm coming up, I'm late on the library system.
You're what?
I'm coming in late on the library system.
Right, but I'm just saying that the two positions you had is concerning what you would do. In the case of the library, you said that you would have voted against it because they didn't make a presentation. But then on other issues where you said you would do your own research to know what was going on to make the decision. And I'm just wondering if there's something about the library itself.
Here's the difference, and again, this is with my experience.
Yeah.
Here's the difference, and I'm gonna use the aesthetics code again.
Sure.
Versus the library system. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'll take correction, I'll take criticism, not the worst that's happened to me. The library system, there was not much review and discussion about that before it came to the county commission, was there?
Library
And I'm
Advisory
asking-
Board had a meeting before it came
Oh,
out for
yeah.
a vote.
Public meeting, huh?
Big.
Okay, well, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not aware of that, and that's what I'm saying, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not aware of that. But with the aesthetics code, that went on for about 3 months. And I was aware of it, and I was involved in it, and I was part of that, and that's why I'm using the aesthetics code, because I was part of the focus group that the commissioners came to. We, the Building Alliance, is considered the authority in building within our area. So the commissioners came to us and asked us for our input about that, and that's why I'm using the aesthetic code. I was fully aware of that, it was out there for 2.5 months. I was not aware of the library board meeting with the commissioners. Again, I am coming in late to the whole library conversation. I'm
In
not
general,
trying.
we would like to think that if you knew everything that we knew about the library situation, you would say, well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, I'm ignorant
Yeah.
to the whole library.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna sit here and do glitter and unicorns and stuff, but I'm focusing on stuff that I know about.
Sure.
And that I can have conversations about. I am very late to the library board conversation, and I'm not gonna try and swing this way to pander, and please don't take this wrong, but I don't wanna come here and be a cheerleader for the library system, because I don't know I don't know about it. I'm not gonna act like I do.
Let me try to reframe that just a little bit, because I'm here today because I heard that you had announced that you would vote no, just like the rest of the commissioners did.
Okay.
And,
Did you?
and now.
Yes, I said that.
Now okay, and now I'm hearing that you don't know about the issue. And I think a better answer might have been, I don't know the background of that question.
That's what.
rather than just saying, I'm gonna knee-jerk vote no.
Did,
That's where you rely on the experts. Nobody can be an expert in everything.
that's what I'm saying, and that's what I just said.
And that includes planners. You keep talking about the aesthetics
And Eric
thing.
Head was
And
the
that came
expert.
out of the planning department. And they are the quote experts in that.
Which, one of the county commissioners sent it to the planning department, the aesthetics code.
I think they were involved in writing it.
A019-05.
They were involved in writing it, the aesthetics code.
The aesthetics code came from Marion County.
Well, it might have come from Marion County, but
It was a cut and paste.
our planning department was involved in writing that aesthetic. Because we went to presentations by Jeanette Collins, who was in the process of putting that
I was at the
together.
BDC for that as well.
Okay, so you know that our planning department worked on it, and they are the, quote, we're mostly lay people, experts on it. So, you know, I don't know how you can go to the Builders Association, who has a vested interest for or against this aesthetics thing, and call them the experts.
Because the reason for that is, it was the building stipulations, it was infringing in the Florida building code. You cannot dictate a pitch of a roof. That exceeds the Florida building code. As long as the roof is built properly, you cannot tell somebody the pitch of the roof or the angle of the roof. That's where it's superseded. That's where the building code comes in. That's where us, as a building alliance, had our voice of reason for that.
Okay.
And the practicality of the concrete step. That's the building aspect is where we came in.
I wanna ask a question, please.
Yes, please do.
And it has nothing, it has all to do with growth. And I'm gonna have a couple of follow-up questions because they're both important. What is your opinion, and I know you said that the turnpike is coming to Citrus County, and that's true. It is coming definitely to 44 and perhaps to Norval Bryant. What is your opinion, and I'd like your reasoning as to what you believe should happen to it from, say, Norval Bryant after that, and why? And then I have a couple of follow-up questions because it's really important.
Take it here so you can yell at me easier. I think it should go north. I do not think there should be an exit at 486. I have heard that it will go north to I-10, and that the reason that they have not picked the travel path as of yet is due to environmental protection regulations. They cannot figure out the easiest and safest and most consumer-friendly way to get over the West Beach River.
Why should it go north, period? Why should it be built beyond what is committed by the state? That's what I want to know. Why?
If it ends here, it does nothing, and it benefits our community none. In my opinion.
So how does it benefit our community to go north?
It can bring in the tourism easier.
Well, not only that, but if you've got that kind of a highway, you can have larger industry.
It could be used for commercial route, but
You
there
notice
is
that metal
discussion.
industries move closer to 75.
But the reason that, and again, this is what I've heard, that it will not increase the trucking industry due to the fact that it is a toll road. But that's only what I've heard about it. There is supposed to be sewer lines brought with it and internet access brought with it as well. The sewer lines, again, from what I've heard, is a misnomer, and it's not been disclosed yet if that sewer line is actually for stormwater drainage or to provide
I'm
sewer
gonna
itself.
help you out. The sewer line that they're putting, well, the water lines, they're just simply interconnecting the water well system. The sewer lines, they are trying to put them in to increase the capacity for building in the county, and it's not for storm water, it is for sewage. But a follow-up question on this turnpike thing, which is really interesting. You stated earlier that the intersection, the interchange at Cardinal is all gonna be redesigned for, you know, a lot of growth. I wanna point out to you that that's a two-lane road at the present time. If you go back and look at where the turnpike ends right now, at 98, there is not one commercial building at that interchange. There's no service stations, there's no nothing. The traffic count at the end of the turnpike at 98 is 5,500 vehicles per day, counting both directions. It does not pay for itself as required by state law.
No.
So why in the heck would you encourage a road to be built that does not, the state law says that a turnpike has to pay for itself after 12 years. It has to pay 50% of the cost of the road, the bonds, and all of the maintenance. After 20 years, it has to pay for everything. The road doesn't do it now. There's no PD&E, there is no study for that road, there's no anything, and yet the road is being, somebody's designing a road to go to nowhere. I sat on the MPO, Citizens Advisory Committee for the MPO, which is a federally mandated board for the county. I've been on that board for as long as it's existed, and I am very familiar with all of the costs and the problems with that road. We have gone to every meeting.
Sir,
We've gone to all of these
Can I start answering
meetings.
some of your questions before I forget them?
Go ahead, tell me.
The idea of, where you said with 98, there being no commercial development in that corner yet, they want to, the Champs Corner on 98 and 491, that's gonna become a roundabout. There is a community right there that's getting ready to be built. There is going to, that area will take off. That was never, just because that road died there doesn't mean that there's gonna be gas stations. I'm not saying I'm encouraging the toll road to go through here, but I don't think it does any good to die here.
But you said at Cardinal that there will be, there are changes
It will
on
be
the county,
redesignated.
on the county
I
ordinance.
said it'll be redesignated, yes.
Well, it's already redesignated as commercial for a 1 mile district, but the fact
Not
is,
officially, it has not been adopted yet.
it was adopted quite a number of years ago when D'Amato was on the county commission. They rezoned.
I just read the 28-page report from the Tampa Bay Regional Transportation
They
Authority.
rezoned the two commercial areas for 44 and 98 a number of years ago. I went to the county commission and fought it. I wanted to get it down to a mere half a mile, but they extended it a mile. You need to go back and look at that. The fact
Can you
is,
tell me the year?
I'm sorry?
What year was that, please? Just so I can narrow it down.
It's been about 4 years ago or so, 4 to 5 years ago, those areas were rezoned. They
And that
were
would be Hernando
rezoned.
County, correct?
No, that's Citrus County.
No, it's Citrus County, is it?
Well, I just read the report from the Tampa Bay Regional Transportation Authority that discusses the interchange area of Cardinal Lane, the interchange area of 44, and then the proposed interchange area of 486 if there is going to be an interchange there.
Okay, I mean, they know
I
everything.
can share the report with you.
They know everything, but like I said, I sit on the MPO board, which is a board that is federally mandated for the expenditures of any federal money that comes into Citrus and Hernando County. And I have been following this for a long time. I used to go to every meeting of the BOCC and speak on behalf of the Citrus County Council. And I read all of those backup documents because I would go and make presentations. I have been following this road stuff along with all kinds of other things for years and years and years. And I'm sorry to say, you are wrong. Those areas were rezoned when D'Amato was a county commissioner. So it's been at least 4 years. I was there. I argued against it. they changed the zoning on Cardinal, they changed the zoning on 44. They didn't do anything with, Norval Bryant because the road wasn't designated. It was supposed to have a overpass at that time.
Well, this is for the density layouts in those areas, the report that I had just seen. Give me your email, I'll share it with you.
I'm done.
I'll share it with you. I'm gonna chase you off. Can have a conversation.
Is this available online?
It should be. Tampa Bay Regional Transportation Authority.
What was that again?
Tampa Bay Regional Transportation Authority.
Okay, first.
T-Barda, I also sat on the Citizens Advisory Board for T-Barda for many years as a representative for Citrus County. So I am extremely familiar with that.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Is there anything to it, the idea that the people who own that land, that bought up all that land, made a sizable amount of money to DeSantis's campaign, and this is why that's being extended?
You know, I don't know.
More likely Galvano's campaign.
campaign. We believe, having studied this and gone to many of these, that some of the landowners up to the northern part of the region are the why they want that road built. There's no justification.
They said from the very
There's no
beginning, the
justification.
point was to open up rural lands for
Yeah.
development.
Yep.
And then when they got a pushback on that, they kind of swallowed it. But that's the real reason. I want to ask you about the service boundaries. Do you support the service boundary and do you support keeping it fixed?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
It's
Sorry.
You better learn it.
You can't have services, sewer, water.
There's a line in the county, an imaginary line,
Yeah.
that protects the
over
rural
which-
areas.
over which they cannot bring services. Okay? And that's called a service boundary. And occasionally, as population increases, they'll move it. And so they move it.
Who's they?
The
The
county
county.
commission.
County.
Go again.
Yeah.
So what happens, you lose more and more rural areas, forests and native lands every time they move that boundary.
What they do is they incorporate new areas adjacent to Inverness become incorporated into the city of Inverness, and therefore they're eligible.
No, this has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with that. This is to protect the rural areas of the county. And one of the ways that you minimize growth is by making it difficult to put in your
Water and sewer.
services.
That was part of the discussion for the Holder Industrial Park, was the service area. Whereas there's a shaded map, if you go to the Citrus County GIS system, there should be a shaded map for the service areas. And part of the discussion for the Hernando Holder Industrial Park was the service area, because they have to extend the sewer lines another 4 miles to get there, which increases the service area of the sewer lines for the connectability to the neighborhood.
And every time they move that line, you lose more rural lands,
area.
native lands, and to develop.
Which is
Creates
what
more
we need
developable
so
areas.
desperately in this county and this state.
Well, if you
There's
want
a
to
rule.
keep, if you want to keep a water supply,
Yeah.
you've got to have areas of recharge.
Here's one of,
And if we keep concreting and asphalting, we're not going to have any recharge areas.
It'll
One
become
of the-
unlivable.
one of the overlooked areas with our water, and I believe it was, you would ask earlier about our water and where's our water gonna come from, we're drinking water. Something that a prior commission had done was the Jim Black well field, which is in the center of Citrus County. There is with the Coochie Regional Water Authority Board, which is made up of, I believe, there's 13 seats. I think it's 4 or 5 counties, and then the rest are made up of municipalities. The well field is in Citrus County. The water well field is in Citrus County. Citrus County drilled it. Citrus County put all the equipment. Citrus County maintains it. Citrus County residents, that's where most of the residents get their water from, is that.
Unless you live outside the service boundary.
Unless they live
then
outside
you
service.
don't get any
But
service.
this is about the West Coochie Regional Water Authority. It's made up of Sumter County, Sumter County, Marion County, Hernando County, Citrus County, I think Levy County even, Crystal River, Wildwood, Brooksville, two others I think, are all members of this Water Authority Board. They're all members and they are all invested interest into this water well. There is contractual agreements. Citrus County pays for all of this water. We are the only ones that use this water, but we afford availability to all of those other members to connect to our water if they want. The problem with that is, years ago, Tampa came up here, they wanted to put a 6-foot water pipe from the Rusaw to Tampa. That's what started TUFAR, Water Preservation Organization I'm vice president of. That's the action that started it. TUFAR stopped that action by going to Tallahassee. That's how Tampa has its water desalination plant now. And then Waters First or Community First was born out of that, where you have to exhaust all of your own water resources before you can go elsewhere to get water. Okay.
Local water first.
Local water first. Here's how that's circumvented. Tampa already gets its water from Hernando County. Hernando County has direct access to our well field. If Tampa needs more water, they connect to us. The villages can connect to us. So, you want to ask how to save our water? We get out of that agreement. Commissioner Kennard's been trying to for 2 years now. TUFAR supports his actions. There has been actions to disband that board, and they're still trying to disband that board. But that's where our water comes from. That's what we need to do to save our water. There's no reason to share our water with 13 other irresponsible areas. That's again my opinion. As commissioner, I would support Kennard's efforts. That's why I am a member of TUFAR. Right now, TUFAR is working with SwiftMud and FWC to try and do something about cleaning up our lake system. Florida Springs Act, Florida Springs Act. That was created, and that's what brought about the protecting our springs, and that's how they mandated the new sewer systems because of the nitrates within our water. We need to find out how to get the nitrates out of our water. They mandated a new sewer system, septic system. That's how Crystal River and Homestead are getting a lot of their money to help clean up their bays and the waters. The lake system recharges our aquifers. If we want to save our aquifers, save our springs, we also need to clean up our lakes, and that's what TUFAR is doing right now with FWC and with SwiftMud. We need help with Representative Ralph Mazzillo is trying to find ways to clean up and to dredge some of the areas of our lake system.
Shouldn't be spraying with herbicide, that's a damn sure.
No, sir. Sir, I'm sorry.
Not a problem. We've heard a lot of good points today, but I think we're getting a little bit too specific. Nobody's gonna build a road here today. Nobody's gonna move any sewage line. I wanna know what you're gonna do on the board that is not being done now. What difference are you gonna make? I am totally unhappy with the board as it is now. I want changes. What are you gonna do that's different?
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna represent the people, even though I got kind of beat up here. I'm fine.
You're not the first one.
No, I know it wasn't gonna be easy. Believe me, I was fearful of coming. I'm happy I came. Don't get me wrong, and I take it. I intend to be a true representative of the citizens, taxpayers, and voters of Citrus County.
But you wanna get the point now, we're real unhappy with the way.
But that's why I'm not afraid. That's why I'm not afraid to stand up in front of y'all. I knew this wasn't gonna be pleasant. I'm not scared. I've been beat up before. I'll try to get beat up again.
Being beat up out there, meet us outside, we got sticks.
But I plan on being a true representative of the citizens and the voters, not representative of special interests, not representative of big business. If you look at my campaign contributions, it's from smaller individuals. If you look at other people's campaign contributions, they're getting thousands and thousands of dollars from large businesses within our area. I am not the same as other commissioners. I am not the same as other candidates. I stand by myself, I represent myself, and I bring myself. I say it like it is. I try and represent it as best as possible. I try and say when I'm wrong. The whole aesthetics thing, that could have went away if you said I was wrong. We don't need to do this. But there's a commissioner who's adamant, who doesn't want to say, well, maybe I jumped the gun. So he still has not taken this off of the agenda. And all it is because he said he was gonna do something, and I have to do something.
If you get elected and you're on the board with the 4 remaining commissioners, are you gonna be up against a brick wall? Is it gonna be 4 to 1?
No,
Why?
Well, hopefully we'll have other new commissioners.
I have worked with all the commissioners that are there now. I've interacted with them, I've worked with them, I've had meetings with them. I'm not saying I agree with all of them, and I'm not going up there saying that everybody's gonna agree with me. Nobody that I know of has ever won by 100% in any vote that's ever been done. And anybody that thinks that they're gonna try and represent everybody and represent equally, or represent truly, without opposition, it doesn't exist. But I have the experience of knowing how to work with people, how to work with groups, how to work with other organizations to work through the problems and not sit there and dissect and find out where it comes from. The matter is not where it came from and where it started. It's important not to forget it, but the focus should be on how to correct it and how to get past it. I'm somebody who doesn't want to dissect the whole mess that brought us here. I want to know how to get out of the mess and how to move forward with it, and how to look far enough into the future to project and to use forward thinking to say, this is a problem that may come up, let's address it. Cross Road's a great example. They didn't think far enough to, why don't we buy that corner while it's for sale now so we can build this road we're supposed to?
I think in order to do that, we need to take the builder's hat off.
I'm not a builder, ma'am. I am not a builder.
Construction,
I have
framer, whatever you want to call it.
I have a state contractor's license, and the reason I specialize in carpentry and interior trim work and woodwork, is what I specialize in.
It's still part of the construction fall.
I'm not here to promote that. I got my state contractor's license because somebody told me I couldn't. I bought the 22 books and tested in 3 months.
Well, that's good then. You can take your construction hat off and look at these things from the standpoint of the people that live here.
Yes, ma'am.
And the people that are concerned about the environment and the water and this kind of stuff.
I myself have lived here for 40 years and I am concerned about the environment, and I did not come here trying to represent myself as a builder.
Well, I know you're not but nevertheless you are.
I am by trade, yes, I am, and I cannot deny that.
Yeah.
But I am also by trade a home inspector.
But there are too many people on the board right now that are affiliated with construction. And that's very frustrating to those of us who are not.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions they would like to pose?
Yes, I have a question. Was I next? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're elected, is that your only job, or do you have a day job?
My day job is my construction company, which I do interior trim and woodwork, and earlier I had mentioned I'm working roughly about 2 days a week right now, and I've been doing that for the past 3 years. When I decided I wanted to run for county commission was actually when I was helping Jeff Kennard build his campaign signs. That's when I knew that I was going to run. I decided at some point I wanted to run whenever I read the article about Frost fiasco. I knew I was going to run when I worked with Commissioner Kennard on his campaign. To be fair, I also worked with Jimmy Smith on his campaign. I worked with Ruthie Schleibaugh on her campaign 2 years ago when she ran for a different district. Full disclosure. Will I still work my construction job? If I have a job that's 2 or 3 days long, I may. But I also
That's not seen as a conflict, right? If you had a day job in the trades, that's not a conflict?
No.
I don't see it.
It's not a conflict, no.
Okay.
But by
It should be, but.
If he's not taking county contract, I don't see why it would be a conflict.
it would be a conflict with several of the organizations I'm in, and I would have to step down. As far as right now, presently being Citrus County Building Alliance president, that term ends in September. So that would expire before even the general elections.
Did you say you're a home inspector or a building, or is it the same thing?
I'm a home inspector. It is not the same thing.
Okay, building inspector is hired by the municipality?
Correct.
And home inspector is hired by the individual?
Correct.
Okay.
Dale, your question?
Yeah, geez, I'm just kind of curious. What's your opinion about Mr. Trump? Is he a good person?
I do local politics.
Good answer.
I think it
Excuse me?
depends on whether you're.
You need to answer the question.
I do local politics, and I'm here for local politics.
I get it.
Yeah.
Take care of that.
It was funny, you know, I've been here almost 10 years, and I really haven't paid much attention to the BOCC, you know, I guess you could say I lavished them with trust, you know? But when I saw on the video about them, you know, saying fake news and being very partisan, I found that very upsetting.
They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that was a
That's-
big mistake.
See, they're representing themselves, not
Yeah.
the county, not their position by doing that.
Yeah.
And there's enough of that going on that it shouldn't be going on.
Yeah, I felt very good, Mr. Coleman did a mea culpa, you know, and that was so honorable.
He's a decent guy.
Yeah. But Kitchen and Carnahan,
Smith.
something's wrong, yes.
Carnahan, yeah.
Something's wrong with them boys.
Yep.
Mr. Hammer, I want to thank you
Ma'am,
for
did you have
coming and
something?
addressing us.
Did you have anything?
Well, it kind of takes a different turn than what we've been talking about, but I was just
They-
kind of interested in, you know, your stance on the Second Amendment sanctuary, the cities, counties that, you know.
There's better things to spend our time and efforts on than proclaiming a sanctuary city and Second Amendment sanctuary and all of that. I don't,
Well, we are one.
why?
Okay.
That's our
Good
question.
answer.
That's the same as, last year for April Fool's Day. The county commission had a proclamation prepared for by county staff where we were declared Manatee County and Manatee County was declared Citrus County. Because Manatee County has a bunch of citrus and Citrus County has a bunch of manatee. So they did a 15-minute dog and pony show at the county commission for that. It's nonsense, it's not. We don't need stuff like that.
Well, I
I
wanna
still
thank
have a
you for-
concern about staff, I may not be able to express it, but there's, and I don't know if you can change it, who hires staff? I mean, I don't know this.
County
I mean,
manager.
The county
The-
manager,
the
and who
county
hires the
manager.
county manager? And
Okay,
I'm not
we are
questioning,
the-
I just don't know.
Citrus County is a administrator-run county. The BOCC, the Board of County Commissioners, are elected by the citizens.
Right.
They hire the county administrator. The county administrator hires all of
Staff.
the department heads, and then the department heads hire from there down. What it is the county commission are to oversee policy, procedure, finance, and budget. That's about the end of it.
The only exception to that is the county attorney. There's only 2 direct reports to the county commission.
Yeah, the county attorney and the county administrator. Now, with our county attorney, I had asked her during my historic preservation board, trying to prepare our county ordinance, I had asked her twice as chairman to review the ordinance. I had asked our growth management director to have our county attorney review the ordinance, and I had our county chairman at the time ask our attorney to review the ordinance in preparation for submittal to the state, and all 4 times she said no. When I went before our Board of County Commission and gave my presentation at the meeting, during the rebuttal portion, the county attorney said, in response, I'd like to add that Mr. Hammer may be quite upset with me at this point for not reviewing his ordinance, but I just didn't feel it was necessary at that time. So that's why I sent it to state.
And the
for review.
commission hired her.
The commission hired her. There is, I have seen her in many times I have seen her say, I personally don't think that'd be a good idea. What I would prefer is to have an attorney that said, yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
No, we cannot do that. That's the same with, sir?
The interesting part about that is the county attorney works for the county at the direction of the Board of County Commissioners.
Correct.
She is not supposed to do any work for any individual organization outside of the direction of the county. If the Board of County Commissioners had directed her to review your proposed ordinance, and I bet you she would have, but she is not authorized to do any of that work. She's only authorized to do the work for the county, representing the county.
Correct.
So if you bring her an ordinance and say, please review it, she has no authority or can't do it because she's doing something that is
Sir.
not in her purview.
Sir, you're correct, except for the Historical Resource Advisory Board. We report to the county commission. I am appointed by the county commission. I'm in an advisory board to the county commission.
And I understand that, but unless she gets the direction from the county commission to do it,
Yes.
she can't do it, even if the advisory board says we'd like to get this reviewed, they have to go through the county commission to get that done.
The
She
county
can't take orders, direct orders from anybody. She doesn't work for anybody in the county, nor would any county commissioner. She doesn't work for anybody in the county except for the Board of County Commission, and she can't legally do any work that has not been directed by the Board of County Commissioners.
So if county commissioner chairman asked her to review it, she's not allowed to review it, is what you're saying? I'm asking you a question.
If she's asked by the county commissioners to do something, then she's supposed to do it. And if he asked her to review it, then she should have reviewed it.
Yeah, I think the point being made is that even though you are the representative of your organization to the BOCC.
Do you know who wrote it the first time?
I'm sorry?
Do you know who wrote it the first time? She did.
Even so, just because of the bureaucracy, even if you're the representative going to the BOCC and the BOCC recognizes that and the organization recognizes that, just because of red ink, that rather than go directly to the attorney, it sounds as though you would need to approach the attorney via would it be a single BOCC commissioner, just kind of making an appointment saying, hey, I have this report, I'm giving it to you because you've got the authority as a BOCC commissioner to give it to the attorney. Is that the way it would work?
I believe it should require the whole county commission to agree to have something reviewed by her.
So would it be something that would need to be brought up at a BOCC meeting and put on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least a request made. You can make a request, and then the county commission can say at a meeting, let's do that. They can do that.
Or I could be courteous to the guy asking the question and say, sir, I can't review that. But I never even got a response from her from any of that. Regardless, I never got a response in any of that. And if she would have said, sir, quit sending this to me, I'm not allowed to review it, again, I would have taken that, but I never even got that courtesy.
Okay.
What's her qualifications? I don't mean to drag this out, everybody.
Whose qualifications?
But you are.
What are whose qualifications?
The county attorney.
I don't know. She's an attorney.
She is extremely well qualified. She's been an attorney for many years.
And she did a lot, she represented Homeland before she became county attorney.
And
She's very tuned into the people.
She was vetted by the county commission, and she has been.
That is not a attaboy.
Denise, her name is
Denise Lynn. She is actually one of the better and more honest county attorneys we've had in this county for years.
We've had some bad.
We've had some really bad ones.
The prior county attorney was the daughter of the president of the Citrus County Building Alliance, who went on to the state level. The Building Alliance president went on to the state level.
She had no business in that position. I think she was right out of law school.
She's the Alachua County is the assistant administrator.
Oh, you're talking about, I know who you're talking about. Her
Thank you
dad.
for coming. We appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you.
And he has set out candidate forms to get him on the ballot if you choose to sign these. Make sure they get back to him or his wife.
Thank you everybody for your input.
If you have any
Questions?
plastic bottle empties, we have a recycle bucket right outside this room. If you could please place them there so we can recycle them.
And I have petitions for Dana Cottrell. Anyone who has not signed them,
I've done it.
to get her on the ballot.
I don't know where I got it. Does the candidates have the same deadline as the, ballot initiatives?
No, ma'am.
I guess.